Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
And I,
Good God, you haven't heard that from me in a while.
yeah, and oddly enough, I actually think I might, so I guess the Superman shirt is apropos, be in good enough health to go back to work finally. I did have another migraine this morning when I woke up, but I
Dude, that
medicated
sounds.
myself pretty well and then ended up, it faded away by around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It seems like working out more has really helped, and it's just kind of getting my heart back into motion. So, one thing though that I've consigned myself to is reducing stress in my life. So, one thing I actually said I was going to do, I said this on Twitter, but I guess I'll say it here, is that I'm not going to do videos and stuff on anti Comics Gate anymore.
Mhm.
I think that more than anything, I have said my piece. I've said everything
Yeah.
that there really is to say about these guys. And what I noticed is that a lot of them, their problems are they are either, we'll just outline them. I think Mike S. Miller is just stupid. I think that Edwin Boyette is basically the walking Dunning Kruger effect. I think Doug TenNapel is an ideologue who is not thinking. He's just shooting his mouth off. Um, and they lead a cavalcade of idiots, and several have said idiots have obsessive issues. Preston Poulter is pretty much an alcoholic. We saw on Wenger stream, like to the point where, like, when I saw that, I was like, it felt like beating on a crippled person. It really did, because I know what it's like to be an addict, and I, I've only insulted him I think once since then, because I told him he releases this video and I just like, dude, your speech is slurred. I could tell you're 4 drinks in. Spend your holiday with your daughter and get into a 12-step program. You have a problem. And then he smarted off to me. He said something about, well, if you're the model of sobriety, then I would rather stay drunk. And I'm like, well, my model of sobriety actually gets comics funded on Indiegogo without the need for kissing lesbians, mind you. And that was
Yeah,
it.
typically, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, buddy, we know why you're coming after me. It's a jealousy thing. Englewood is more successful than his most recent White Lily book. I think more successful than any individual issue of his White Lily book. And I got on Ethan's stream because I've known Ethan for a few years now. So, but I feel like it's these people are nobodies. These people aren't worth my time. I would much rather focus on things that are more viable, more worthwhile. My future books and other stuff like that. But it's part of a bunch of changes that I'm going to be making. I've one thing that I'll say right now is I've listened to criticism from people who like me and people who greatly dislike me, and I'm taking it all to heart. The parts that are valid, the parts that aren't just stupid insults. But I'm taking it all to heart because one thing I've noticed is that there are certain elements of what I do where you can tell I'm super passionate about it and I love it and I put a lot of energy into it and I make sure to entertain. And then there are points where you can tell I'm bored out of my mind. And I think that you can see the difference in my enthusiasm when we're doing the podcast and we're doing the overflow as compared to my main channel. Like, I love this channel so much. And my main channel feels sometimes like it's more trouble than it's worth. You know? Because I've got 19,000 subscribers. 1/19th of them are watching my videos. That's annoying on many levels because I don't know what people want. I don't know if YouTube is just fucking me over or if I just suck. It's hard telling. But I've heard from people on people who dislike me that ever since I started doing the vlogging style, it's become boring and they don't want, and that's why people stopped watching it. And I'm like, you know what? They might be right. I might need to reconsider how I'm approaching YouTube on a solo level. Obviously, the podcast stuff is working. We're growing slowly, but half of our subscriber base is watching everything we do. That's really good numbers. That's the kind of thing you want. You don't want just a bunch of blind subscribers. You want a steady audience. You don't want like 100,000 subscribers and you're only making like 2,000 views on a video. That's not a way to make money, and that's not a way to be entertaining, and that's not success. You know, it's like it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. I would rather focus on those sorts of things than be focused on all this drama stuff. And I noticed, like, the instant that I said, I'm not going to oblige these idiots by even looking at what they're doing, my stress levels went down immediately. Like, I felt so much better. Because, and that anxiety that I feel about internet stuff, like, just was out. It was just gone. I'm like, yeah, I feel a lot better about what I'm doing from now on. You know? I'm just not gonna oblige these people. Like, unless they go for my personal life and they try to affect my job or they try to affect my work, there's no reason to give them any attention. You know? So, that's just something I felt the need to say. It's like, you gotta focus on adult stuff, and these folks are just not acting like adults, so there's no point in even... They're people, like, some of these people say they're professionals, and they're the least professional acting human beings I've seen in my life. You know? It's just the way it is. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it. Hatman and I kind of chose where we're starting with this one before we got started. Just because there was one thing we needed to identify before we get into it. So, first question, we're going to start with politics. First question, Tom the Fish asked, says, conservatives often justify their actions by saying they are sacrificing for the future. Why do they then pursue policies that put the future of the environment at risk with concern to big businesses' short-term profits, like quarterly GDP? This is a Kafka trap. And I don't mean to pick on you, Tom, but that's... We do call these out. And it's nothing personal. The reason that we do it is because whenever people throw out a Kafka trap, there is a malicious intent to the question, and we don't intend to answer it. So,
yeah,
I understand that you're probably passionate about the environment, and you do wonder why the GOP does do some things that they do. I'm not answering this question, because it's basically asking me, when did you stop beating your wife?
Yeah.
So, I would ask that if there's like a specific policy you want our opinion on, or you're wondering why there's no push for nuclear power or something like that, or why there's opposition to green stuff, like those are good questions to ask. But this is not. So I just wanted to throw that out there, just so you know why we're not answering it. It's not that we didn't see it or anything like that. It's this comes across as malicious. Might not have been what you intended. So if you would, next podcast, go ahead and ask us. Like, if you have a specific question about a specific policy, just ask that. So that way we can look it up. We can do a little research. We can kind of get an idea of how to answer the question, so on and so forth. This is just, there's no good answer to the way that you're framing things. So let's go ahead and keep moving, because we got a ton of these guys. So some of these will get answered pretty quick. So if you so listen closely to make sure that we got you. So Autis Whisper says, thoughts on the Arizona man who registered a beehive as a service animal. You should have said Florida man. That sounds like a Florida man thing. Or is Arizona man going to be thing. Or is Arizona man going to be the new thing?
Yeah, I guess he wants to take the crown.
I guess.
A beehive as a service animal, though.
That's incredible.
That's a new one.
Yeah,
that's a new one.
That's incredible. Alpha, there's a couple questions that are kind of related to labor losing. So Alpha Incel, we're going to combine these. Alpha Incel asks, with labor and many left-wing parties sustaining mass defeat, where do you think they go and the conservatives go from there? And then Crystal Hydra asks, with the Labor Party's defeat in the election, the Democrats set to lose in 2020, do you think we're seeing the collapse of the left stranglehold on Western culture? So well, actually, I'm going to just answer this really quick. My prediction for the left in the West is that if they do not alter course, especially here in America, we are going to see a government that looks closer to Israel's in regards to right and left-wing division than we are classically the 50-50 split that we've seen.
Yeah. 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 And I wouldn't quite say the Democrats are set to lose in 2020 because anything can fucking happen between now and then.
Yeah.
Nothing's absolutely certain. I mean, remember that I was just about certain that Brexit was not going to happen, and then look at this pleasant surprise. So at this point, I don't even know if I want to make any fucking predictions. But no, I think more people are just waking up and smelling the fucking coffee.
Yeah.
They're seeing these left-wing parties for what they stand for, and they're saying I'm not going to have it.
Yeah.
Not on my watch. And they might not even agree with conservative or even like centrist parties, but you know they've got better ideas than the left parties do, because you don't have a whole lot of center left parties anymore. Most of them have swung pretty hard to the left, and the ones that are more center left are doing much better. But as far as what we saw with the Tories being blasted, and what we might see in 2020 with the Democrats, it's a reckoning against extremities. And
you mean extremes?
Yeah. Yeah, extremes.
You said extremities.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that's the word you're looking for.
No, not quite. Yeah, reckoning against extremes. Because you don't fight a perceived or supposed or alleged extreme with another. Like this whole rise of the far right, like, no, that's minuscule, and you don't shift your entire political philosophy for your party further in the opposite direction in order to fight what amounts to a fly. No.
Sorry. I've just been thinking about a war against a political party that is against extremities. We are the armless and legless party. The extremities are the enemy of man. Everyone hack off your arms and legs. Oh, man.
God damn it.
I'm sorry. The mental
Somebody draw that. We are against extremities.
Oh, goodness.
I need that now. I might actually need that.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Brian Gilmartin wants to know, when will conservatives start supporting people like Comicsgate whose work goes against the woke scolds? The current lack of support comes across as cowardly and hypocritical. So, you're about to hear some criticism of Comicsgate from one of the first guys in it. So, one criticism that I would have of Comicsgate is part of the reason that I'm getting less and less less engulfed in this public drama bullshit is when it comes right down to it, there is something that is noticed, and it's how many of these petty fights we tend to get into. Mm-hmm. The fact that we spend more time fighting random usernames with anime avatars on the internet than we do the press or anything like that has started to worry me. Like, it's fun to dunk on idiots, I won't lie. It kind of is. Because it's nice to just test out your zingers, basically, and make sure that you're still clever. But when it comes right down to it, it doesn't sell comic books, and it makes you look a little petty. It's... One thing I thought was... You don't want to
make the same mistakes that Gamergate did.
Yeah. One thing that I saw that I thought Ethan did that I thought was a smart move is some dude, like, just starts laying into him out of nowhere for reasons not understood. But instead of continuing to dunk on the guy, Ethan just goes, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Why don't you DM me so we can talk, or do you want to do a live stream? And then the guy is apparently a former veteran, and he goes, well, if we do that, you need to donate all the super chats to, and then he names a charity for veterans. Ethan's like, absolutely, I'd be more than happy to do that. He's like, we'll do a fundraising stream. And then they talked in DMs, and they sorted it out. That's a much better way to look at things,
Mm-hmm.
because, and I think that speaks better to our care for the audience than it really does anything else. That's something I'm going to focus on. It's like people are going to probably start digging at me like, well, why is Englewood late? And I'm just going to be honest with them. It's like, look, some things came up that caused delays. We didn't want them to be delayed, but you also have to keep in mind this is not being made by people who are full-time comic book writers and artists.
Right.
We're all part-timers. So this, delays are possible. For the next Englewood book, we will be working ahead to make sure that we don't run into these issues. And that's basically it. And just, do good customer service and good PR. And basically, if you are sensible, then people will notice that, even when the other person is unsensible. So I think that that's part of the reason as to why we don't get his support. I think the other part is, and I talked about it on the podcast, is that a lack of care about where the culture is at. People could be, ordering these books for kids and grandkids and stuff like that, and they don't think about it, they don't really look to connect with the younger generation and get them into creators who are, creating things for them. My kid likes superheroes. I'm a conservative. My child is non-political, but I would prefer him to read such and such than something that's dominated by leftists. I know. I'll back Cyberfrog. I'll back Englewood. I'll back this. I'll back that. Deathsworn, Monster MD, Shinobi Sasquatch. The list goes on. I'll back that instead, and then give this to them to read. Like they don't think that. They don't do that. And I think that it really is just ignorance at the end of the day, and it seems like, and this is no offense to Tim Lim or Brett Smith or anybody else that we've had on the show to discuss this, is Trump books and Jack Posobiec books are not going to get young people reading comic books that promote conservative values. It's just not going to happen.
You're appealing to a very limited market in that regard.
Yeah. I was about to say, even if you did a Ben Shapiro comic, like The Hebrew Hammer starring Ben Shapiro, and it's just this joke comic, and the people, the only reason people would buy it is for novelty. It's not really going to do anything, But on the flip side, if you're making these superhero comics and things like that, and they're being done by people who aren't these extreme left ideologues, that's going to have more of an effect on the culture if you help to get it there. But yeah, it's just that effort needs to be put in there. One thing I would say though, start bothering people within the conservative press to start talking to us. Like some of these people know me, know my name. Like Christian Toto is one, and I would never call Christian a coward. Christian is somebody who is interested in where pop culture is going. You could bug him. You could bug Andrew Klavan, and other such people, and they'll be more than happy to talk to us. I think that that would be a good thing to do. And I think that it would also help us focus on the things that are most important, and getting comic books back to where they used to be. So, all right.
I can't get over the Hebrew Hammer though. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Diego Camacho says, as far as I understand, the USMCA is pretty popular with unions. Could this be an opportunity to steal votes from the left?
Sort of, I guess. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that nobody was fully satisfied with NAFTA. So this new trade agreement, like, I don't know if that would be enough of a pull from the left, but
It could be. I mean, one thing that came out around the 2016 election was an article I remember reading that said, Trump, union bosses vote staunchly Democrat, the workers may turn Trump. And I think that is probably something that's going to happen in union circles. I know that with my mom, it has happened because like the head of her union is a staunch Democrat because of course he is. But everybody else that she works with is just a salt of the earth person. They're gonna in the middle of BFE, they're gonna vote for Donald Trump. They're just not gonna tell their boss, they're just not gonna be honest about it at union meetings. It's gonna be that dirty little secret, So, yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
All right, Eclectic wants to know if we achieve the technological ability to establish underwater colonies, then how would this affect laws concerning the oceans and the seas, such as sovereignty, territory, and such?
Whoa, calm down there, Andrew Ryan.
Yeah, I am Andrew Ryan. Is a man not entitled to the sweat from his brow?
How does it affect sovereignty, territory, and such? No gods or kings, only man.
Yes. A man chooses, a slave obeys.
We enjoy BioShock here.
Yes. I used to have the whole opening speech memorized.
Yeah, I did too at one point.
No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Russia, it belongs to everyone.
It belongs to everyone.
I rejected those ideas. Yeah, I could probably actually still do it, but
yeah. After I chose Rapture, and it's not much after that, but I don't remember after I chose Rapture.
The one I don't remember who did the voice role for Andrew Ryan, but I love that little touch of voice acting. Anytime he mentions the Russians, you could tell he really hates communism. That's one thing I really liked about it. It was just that little...
Well, I mean, he's Randian, so...
Oh, yeah, he's obviously going to hate communism, so... But yeah, I don't really
seriously
have an answer to this question, to be honest with you. I have no clue. I mean... I guess if there was a way to purchase the land, who would you buy it from? I really have no clue. I really don't.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, would you be able to even establish a colony in international waters?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing. You'd have to get to the point of establishing a colony, in the first place, and then again you'd have to go through all the legal hurdles to do that. So that's your real question. Can we legally establish an underwater colony? And the answer to that is I have no fucking idea.
Yeah. Not to mention, if you do it, you gotta go down there, and then you gotta kick your brother Orm's ass, to win over the hot redhead. And I just don't know if it's worth it. So
I'm just saying, Orm wanted to make Atlantis great again. I mean, he built a great fucking border wall, man. He did.
Oh, jeez. All right. Melee Brawler says, do you think there will be a recession next year? Many leftists say that in response to economic growth under Trump. There would have to be a crash of some sort to send us back into a recession. But I don't really see that happening.
So I can't help but point out that the irony. Many leftists say that there's going to be a recession next year. Are those the same leftists who think that Trump is going to get ousted? Probably. Because I could see an economic downturn if Trump is ousted or otherwise loses the election.
Yeah, that's true.
So
because they want to go back to all the Obama stuff, and that was kneecapping the economy.
Uh-huh.
So, Hardboiled Entertainment wants to know, with Corbyn out of the way and the Tories enjoying major victories, how soon can we expect Brexit now? I would say probably within the next year or two.
I'd say next couple months, actually.
Really?
'Cause they want to get it done at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think they want to waste any time. They've already pushed it back as far as it could go. So, fuck it.
Let's see here. Tyler Jorgensen wants to know, with the VA's unconstitutional gun control bill, he worded this really weird. Is my death wish coming full cycle or other thoughts? Well, I don't know what your death wish is, Tyler. But one thing I did see that was interesting.
Execute Operation 1776.
Yeah, one thing I did notice is that certain sheriffs in certain counties are actually starting to form militias.
Oh, yeah. That's happening. I think we're up to like 101. Let me see what the final tally was. I got a viewer in Virginia keeps sending me updates. Let's see. Okay, so it's now at 101 Second Amendment sanctuary cities and counties, and that's like independent cities because Virginia is weird like that. So 101, and like the only ones that haven't jumped on board are like Northern Virginia, like right by Washington.
Yeah.
So oops, looks like Virginia is fucked. But now like the state legislature is they're trying to pass a bill also that will automatically terminate the employment of any law enforcement officer who refuses to uphold the law.
Which would only increase the numbers in the militias.
Yeah, exactly. So, Boogaloo win?
Yeah, this is one of those situations where actually this is how the founders intended this process to work.
Yeah.
Is basically if the government, which in this case it is starting to become tyrannical, becomes tyrannical, that there are systems in place for the citizen to fight back against the government.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the thing, and this is something a lot of people don't understand, the Second Amendment is a deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that an ordinary citizen can arm themselves with something to kill someone else on basically enough grounds where an average citizen could kill a soldier is a good thing. I know that sounds crazy when you think about it, and I'm not disrespecting our soldiers. What I am saying is the fact that we can have such arms to defend ourselves is what keeps it at bay. Because you have to keep something in mind. Having all the technology and all the training in the world doesn't automatically win wars. See Vietnam. You know? That's the deterrent. You know, it's like, do you really want to go to war with your own citizens? Because there's a lot of them, and they're angry, and they're all armed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the deterrent. That's the thing that the government has to keep in mind every time that they do this sort of thing. You know, and on top of that, you're also seeing the assumption that that you're automatically going to have, you know, complete and total compliance from the people that are also working in the government. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, exactly. And this is the prediction that I made with the whole Civil War thought process, is that you would have a lot of people turn on the government and there wouldn't be a civil war. Mm-hmm. You know, they would just turn and it would be over quickly because they don't have the numbers to fight. And that's what we're seeing right now, is that mm-hmm. if they tried to mobilize the National Guard, there's no guarantee they're leaving the gates of the base. Because the National Guard might say, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And they are fully able to do so. And then they could try to get the feds involved. What do you think Donald Trump's going to say, the commander-in-chief? He's going to say, go fuck yourself. And by the way, you know, we're going to sue, the federal government is going to, I think the federal government can sue a state. It's like, we're going to sue you over this law, and it's going to go to the courts. and the courts will decide its constitutionality, and then it'll get taken to a federal court, and then likely struck down. These like I said, there are so many systems in place within United States government to combat tyranny that when it operates the way it's supposed to, it is unmatched in its ability to keep tyrants from gaining power and from executing it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's why we have to take care of it. And that's why we have to respect the Constitution. But this is the Constitution in action and its effect on our culture. So, finally, Rick wanted to know, do the Hebrew Israelites have a holy book? Does it have the acronym of HIV?
Hebrew Israelite version.
I like that one. That was a good one.
I sincerely hope the Hebrew Israelite translation has a lot of "das right" in it. I hope the book of oh god, no, just every king is just replaced with Kang.
Yeah, I don't.
That's right. Instead of "I'm the Lord your God," that's right.
It's weird because I do know that they do some things from the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I know. Let's move on, though. We've got a ton of entertainment questions to get through. So, let's get started. For entertainment, Koopa's Revenge starts us off. What is our favorite Digimon? So, I don't know shit about Digimon. I just know that there's one that's a giant fucking skeleton dinosaur, and I like that.
You're thinking of Greymon.
I think.
Yeah. Orange stripes.
Well, yeah, that one. But yeah, there's one where it turns into a giant fucking skeleton.
Yeah, you're thinking of Greymon. Mine probably is Wormmon, if only because I had a Wormmon figure growing up, and I had one of the V2 Digivices with Wormmon on it. So, fuck it. I wasn't as huge into Disneymon. Wow, that'd be terrible. Digimon as I was in Pokemon. So.
Okay, so yeah, it's apparently called Skull Greymon, and I just liked it because it looked like a Final Fantasy boss. Crystal Hydra wants to know, for D&D, I'm making a character based on the Scarface Predator from Concrete Jungle. How many weapons can a fighter carry, and can I make it so weapons are collapsible? The latter, no. But how many weapons can you carry depends on your carry limit, which is going to be dependent upon your strength, depending on what version you're playing.
All right, is it bad that I read Scarface Predator and I instantly thought a fucking predator going, "Say hello to my little friend"?
That is weird. Because I'm a Predator junkie, and I knew exactly what he was talking about.
You need aliens like me. You need them so you can point your fucking finger and say, "That's the bad guy."
That would be pretty funny.
Somebody draw that too. That's fucking great.
Yeah.
I love it. I need it. I want to put that on a shirt. Oh, shit. Oh, God.
John White still wants to know, why did I chicken out of Exterminatus on the Cats trailer when even the furries thought it was in the depths of the uncanny valley? Wasn't that the one where I did a psych on it? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I remember just being horrified. Like that's
it
all
was.
That's all I remember.
It was terrifying.
Like the Taylor Swift cat's tits jiggling, just was not. I was like, that's way too detailed.
Did you see like some of the reviews from people or like
No.
first impressions and whatnot? Basically, they're saying that it is just like a sex movie. Like every cat is like fucking in heat in that fucking movie, apparently.
Jesus Christ. That's creepy.
So, yeah.
Here's the question.
I don't
Is it
think I'll have
going to
it.
get better reviews than Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, God. Oh, my
If it does, I'm
fucking
going to laugh
God.
my ass off.
Oh, my fucking God. Oh, my fucking God. And I'm going to fucking see that tomorrow. Or the time of this
Cats?
recording is Wednesday. No.
I was
Rise of
about to
Skywalker.
say.
No. No. I might end up having regrets. I might say, oh, my God, I wish I'd seen Cats instead.
I saw some spoilers for Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually.
Oh, no. I've seen...
I'm
oh,
like,
no, I've seen them all.
I'm not gonna see it. I can't.
No, no,
it's, it's so stupid.
I've seen them all at this point. I'm going to see it more out of obligation than anything else. But
Well, because one of us has to review it.
well,
But,
that and I mean, like, I'm not gonna let this goddamn thing go to waste.
Yeah. No, one thing I will just say that if all the leaks are true and they actually are in the film, yeah, raise a Mary Sue.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
She is beyond a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like they basically dub her the new chosen one in the leaks. Like and yeah, it's pretty dopey, you know. It's basically they sacrifice all of Star Wars as we have known it to the altar of Whammon.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. I'm not gonna say anymore because I know what happens. I basically just spoiled the whole fucking thing for myself at this point. I'm not going to say anymore just because I would go into spoiler territory. I'll talk about that on the podcast proper.
Yeah.
Because I do have opinions about this and then how it makes The Last Jedi, well, how it changes how I feel about The Last Jedi, actually. So, something to tease you for the weekend.
There you go. I think that's fair. Let's see here. So, Swordsman 100 wanted to know, and this is for me. Now that Absolute Carnage is over, what are your thoughts? Waste. It had an amazing opening, was pretty good, and then it just ends.
Damn shame.
And at the end of it, it was it exists to set up another event. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. You know, it's time, like, this whole thing went from Donny Cates actually putting in really interesting effort to flesh out the Venom mythos and make it actually really good horror comic with the character, to advertising him as just writing a ton of books for Marvel, which he has got. You know, he's writing that. He's writing Guardians. Which he brought Beta Ray Bill into Guardians, which is probably why they're doing it in the movie. He's writing Thor now, and I'm happy that what's his face isn't writing it anymore. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you're just kind of perpetuating this, and it really feels like you're dragging everything out, and just it was such an unsatisfying ending. You know, just incredibly unsatisfying. And some of the retcons that he's put in there have been wholly unnecessary. It just, I was very disappointed with it. Which, like the opening issue is like it's like 36 pages, so it's about as long as Englewood is, and it is beautifully drawn. It's beautifully colored, you know, and beautifully written. And then it just falls apart as it goes on. Like it just, I'm very, very disappointed in Absolute Carnage. I was hoping it was actually going to be better than Maximum Carnage, and it actually wasn't. It's about the same in regards to
about to say, your hype for it was like really, really high after the first couple of issues.
The first issue was mind-blowingly good. You know, it just... Yeah, I really don't like it when a series... I understand it's a serial comic, you have to keep it going. But when it feels like you're just doing an event to tie it into another event, that's the Quesada business model, and I'm tired of it. And it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon, which is making me kind of realize that Kevin Feige probably doesn't have as much influence on the written part as much as we would like him to. I would like to see him put an end to this shit because it's honestly fucking annoying. So,
Put a damn foot down.
Yeah. Autis Whisper wants to know what games are we looking forward to most from the Game Awards. So what
I
did
didn't
we
watch
get
the Game Awards, so I can't say.
Well, I'm trying to think of what trailers came out because there wasn't a lot. Let me grab a list real quick. So New World 9 to 5, No More Heroes 3, Dark Alliance, Godfall. Looking through the list.
Godfall is that PS5 game, isn't it?
Yeah. I would have to say the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing for you at all?
I didn't watch the Game Awards. I didn't watch any of those
I
trailers,
just listed a ton of the games.
Yeah,
so.
I have not seen anything about them except for No More Heroes 3.
Okay.
That's it. So
there you go. So Hatman does not have an answer. Will Geary wants to know thoughts on the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer.
Disappointing.
It's a movie.
Yeah, I'm honestly disappointed. It's supposed to be a comedy, but it doesn't have any real comedy bits in it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's just a meh at this point. I'm underwhelmed, but honestly, like Ghostbusters is one of those franchises that really shouldn't have become a franchise, if you really think about it. But it did, and it probably should have died with Ghostbusters, the video game, which was the true Ghostbusters 3. And that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll probably end up seeing the movie, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Alpha Incel asks thoughts on the Steam apparently not approving games that are pro Hong Kong. We've answered that one before. We're obviously fuck that.
Yeah,
so,
fuck that.
Ultimate Agent says, how would you write Infamous Iron Man / Redeemed Doctor Doom versus Injustice Superman?
Why does everybody want us to write Injustice Superman, or want you to write Injustice Superman?
I don't know, because I'll be honest, like, of all the timelines that I don't really find that interesting, Injustice is one of them. Like, the reason being is that it's a good concept for a video game because it has a consistent inborn philosophical conflict between two sides, which is really good for superhero anything. The thing about this is that Injustice is sort of running its course. You know, it's really gonna just end up with, instead of Batman having the Joker, Batman has Superman as I wear the shield. You know, I'm always interested whenever evil Superman comes up, but I just think he's kind of played it. Injustice has done everything I think it can do at this point. You know, they did the universe crossover, which was basically the video game version of the Justice Lords, just taken they just dialed to 11, and then from there you take that universe and then you show up with Brainiac. I really don't know what else you could do. I mean, if you do another invasion plot and it's Darkseid, what you're left with is having to do the exact same thing, but instead of taking Superman out of prison, you're taking him out of the Phantom Zone. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, we gotta make this more interesting. So, to answer the question, how would I write Infamous Iron Man, Redeemed Doctor Doom versus Injustice Superman? Well, the whole Redeemed Doctor Doom thing has kind of played its course. Like, it's kind of over. I couldn't see, I'll be honest on something. I think that Doom would still end up siding with Injustice Superman. You know, I think that would be an eventuality. So, one thing that okay, so next thing, Matchstick just gave us a suggestion. He says, we have Cavill as a James Bond type spy in the movie The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I've heard good things about The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but I never got around to watching it, so I guess I need to then.
There's a question. There's a how we would write question. We'll save that for the end because it's the Last Jedi stuff. Brian Gilmartin wants to know, why do you think so many comic book writers chase Watchmen when writing deconstructions of superheroes? Because they can't think for themselves.
Yeah, basically, and because they're taught that Watchmen is like the ultimate deconstruction of a superhero, so that's why.
Yeah.
Like when you're told something is like the bar, you try not to surpass it. You just try to meet the bar.
Yeah.
Or at least come close.
Or if you're Damon Lindelof, take a giant shit in your hand and then rub your hand on the bar.
Yeah, basically. I don't know why everyone was praising this show so fucking much. Like,
it's trash. It's trash. It's fucking stupid. It's Here's the thing. When I read the spoilers of the last episode, and this is the thing about a sequel. What is the number one thing a sequel has to do? It has to justify its own existence.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do it. You can go without seeing it completely. You can't say the same thing for The Empire Strikes Back if you're going to get into Star Wars. You can't say the same thing about a lot of other sequels, like Terminator 2. You know, it's like if you watch the first one, you need to see the second one too. You know, you have to justify your own existence. You have to justify its reason for existing. Damon Lindelof is notoriously bad at doing that. You know, because he tends to tell these wishy-washy bullshit stories that just they seem like they're very aloof about their own existence. And that's why he sucks.
Not to mention woke for the sake of woke points.
Yes. He read a Ta-Nehisi Coates article once, so he decided to try to suck Ta-Nehisi Coates, one of the worst writers in comic books right now, decided to suck that guy's dick. And in the meanwhile, take a dump on Alan Moore's work. Yeah, because that makes sense.
As if Alan Moore wasn't already grouchy enough.
Exactly.
Not this shit.
Yeah. Alan Moore decried the sequel on HBO before it even came out. He right after 2 days after the trailer, he said he saw the trailer and wants no part of it.
Well, fucking he doesn't like anything of his to be adapted for film, like at all.
Well, that's because he wrote it for the comics. That's his intent.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand being protective of it, but it seems like literally every sort of adaptation he's just taken super offense to. So it wasn't even surprising, but like I think everyone was just hoping because this is more in line with his politics. Like, guess what? No, he doesn't give a fuck.
The only thing I haven't seen him complain about was the adaptation of For the Man Who Has Everything.
Mm.
That's the only thing I don't think he ever complained about. He might not even know it exists, though.
Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, we got a versus question here. Tyler Jorgensen says, it's stated in Hellsing that a man can kill Alucard. So out of Hellboy, Dante, and Nero, which of them could give Alucard true death? None of them, because they're all monsters.
I don't know jack shit about Hellsing either, so...
Well, that's basically the gimmick, is that he has a rival named Alexander Anderson. Alexander Anderson is enhanced, but he's still a man. And Anderson basically takes one of the nails that was embedded into Christ and then embeds it into his own heart, and it turns him monstrous and makes him considerably more powerful. It's really weird, but it's still kind of awesome. And
that is weird.
Yeah. But Alucard gets all depressed about it because he sacrifices his humanity to try to defeat Alucard, but Alucard thinks that humanity it has a beauty to it, you know. So, he has this belief that only a man can truly defeat him because the person who brought him down was Abraham Van Helsing, a dude, you know. Right. So yeah, so none of them could, you know, none of them. In at least if we're going by the lore of that series, in reality, the thing about Alucard is he has no conventional vampire weaknesses. Which, so Hellboy's out. Dante and Nero could probably fight into a draw in regards to power. Because both of them are incredibly powerful. Yeah. That's, and I'm assuming we're talking Nero from Devil May Cry 5 at the end of it, not Devil May Cry 4. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on that. Rick wants to know, do you think that Gloria Steinem blacklisting American Psycho before marrying David Beale had anything to do with Christian Bale playing the lead role?
I don't fucking know.
I'm not even sure about that. I'm trying to think of what the... Let me look into this a little bit. I never even heard of this. Actually, no, because it looks like we've got a statement here that it was basically about the fact that he butchers and eats hookers. So, and all the hookers in American Psycho are women. So, but it also, like, from what I just read of the statement, it just comes across as some crotchety old bitch who can't understand art because she's too stupid. She comes across like, and... fuck it. A censorious cunt. And, I have no patience for such people. And somebody's probably going to clip that out of context. Go for it. Have fun. I really don't care. When somebody realizes I was talking about Gloria Steinem, they're probably going to they're going to make a parade float for me. And on the front of it, it will say, "Here is the man who gives not a fuck." All right. Now, for the final question. Kalebach wants to know, how would you rewrite Force Awakens so it doesn't limit the universe? Example, Luke, like making Luke the Last Jedi. Well, and that's the thing, is Luke would not be the Last Jedi. So if I were to write it, the Last Jedi would be a completely... Well, first off, we wouldn't even call it the Last Jedi. Last of the Jedi, or something like that. And the basic idea would be, is I would have Luke and a couple... And I've mentioned this before. Luke and a couple others on a small conclave on a small unknown planet, and the reason that his map coordinates were hidden is because of what Kylo Ren did. And again, I would have Kylo having been seduced to the dark side, possibly by another student, or give Snoke more significance or something along those lines. I couldn't really say, but I would take out the whole Luke trying to kill him and just toss it out the window. Like that goes immediately. Instead, what I would have it be is that Luke and a couple other of the more well-known masters were away on a peacekeeping mission when basically Kylo and a couple others, and then this would be who the Knights of Ren are, lay waste to all of the younglings and all this other stuff. So, and what that basically does is it gives Luke a reason to, of course, be remorseful, because he basically left all these people unprotected, or at least so he thinks, and he's got his closest confidants there, and they're basically trying to regroup. But as of right now, he doesn't want to take on. He's basically I would still give him the Achilles in his tent treatment, but a little bit differently. I would actually have it be where he doesn't talk for probably the first half of the movie. Instead, I would still have Mara Jade there. I would still have Kyle Katarn there. Kyle Katarn, of course, played by Keanu Reeves. But I would have them there to discuss this with Rey and Finn as well. And have both of them there for Jedi training. And I've already talked about the other details of what I would basically do with that. On the Kylo part of things, he of course would still want to try to seduce Rey. With Rey, though, I would definitely give her a more out-and-out struggle with the dark side. More so than Finn. Finn I would have as a character, kind of like he is, where right and wrong are pretty static. This is not a guy. This is not a guy who would ever betray that. He's seen the worst of what the Empire can do. Well, the new Order or whatever, the First Order. He's seen what they can do. He's seen what they're capable of, and the evils that they're capable of. He doesn't want any part of that. He wants to do good. So, adhering to the Jedi Code is not hard for him. But he's got to work for every inch that he gains in his power. Whereas Rey is the one who struggles with attachment. Rey is the one who struggles with anger, as we saw when she fought Kylo. Which, by the way, they completely dropped in The Last Jedi. And that anger you could basically give as a sort of inferiority complex. She's a bastard child, well, an orphan, so she had to, bite and scratch for everything. You could do flashbacks to her as a child, which would actually give her room to actually struggle in something. So on and so forth. And basically just establish she is the natural talent, but because she's got all this natural talent, she relies too much on being a virtuoso and not enough about the basics of what could end up leading you down that dark path. I'm trying to think what else I would change. I would definitely get rid of Vice Admiral Gender Studies. Holdo would be gone. Why Holdo is even a factor is beyond me. If you're going to have an admiral in this group, it should be Wedge Antilles. I would much rather there be a ground war that's being waged. Almost like a siege. Sort of like what you have at the end of it. Something more along those lines, or like on Hoth, and actually done well. Not this just random, random scene with the walkers. It doesn't... God, that movie just... I would get rid of the fucking, this is what you're supposed to think capitalism is planet. That'd be gone too. The bombers too. The bombers, man. The bombers are so fucking stupid. But that would give me an opportunity to kind of reestablish Rose and her sister a little bit better, and actually give them some lines of dialogue at the beginning. Maybe make Rose's older sister a Y-wing pilot. I don't know. There's a myriad of things I would change, but those are just like little things off the top of my head. But needless to say, it would be a complete rewrite. Like, it would be a very different film. It would be a lot more focused. It would be um, a lot more fan friendly too. Like you could just hear right out of the gate. Like, I'm going for maximum fan service on this one. I'm introducing Kyle Katarn. I'm introducing Mara Jade. Two fan favorite characters. But the reason is that there's so many bad ideas in The Last Jedi that it basically killed the franchise. So that's all I got for now. We're past the hour mark. What do you got, real quick, Hatman?
So I actually did a Twitter thread on like how I would redo the sequel trilogy. Just real quick synopses. Finn basically would be a Force sensitive, and Rey would be a Skywalker. She and Kylo Ren would be siblings. And the reason why she's on Jakku is because as a child, she was stolen along with the Millennium Falcon. So Han Solo's reason for being away from Leia is he is searching for his child.
I like that idea.
He is searching for someone who basically can stop Kylo Ren, who still falls to the dark side, but he does so entirely for selfish reasons. Snoke is not in this. Kylo Ren would fall because he gets caught up in his own hubris. He is of chosen blood, basically. So he believes it's his mission to bring order to the galaxy, to lead, to pick up where his grandfather failed, where the Empire failed. He sees the New Republic basically being inefficient. And so he decides, okay, I am going to rebuild the Empire, but I'm not going to be as heavy-handed with it because the Empire gave order and stability, but their biggest problem was their ruthlessness. I'm not going to be like that because I'm better than that, because I am of chosen blood. And so that degree of selfishness and self-righteousness is what causes him to turn to the dark side, because it allows him to have more personal freedom. Luke obviously would not be a hermit. Why he is sort of missing, why people are trying to find him, is because he is looking up all the stuff from the ancient Jedi to find out, okay, does this somehow mean the Force is still unbalanced? Was the prophecy actually fulfilled? Is there a way to stop somebody from turning to the dark side even when the Sith are extinct? This whole, there's got to be something more to this. That's why he's out missing, because he's looking for new ways to fight. He's not giving up. Leia would be someone high up in the New Republic. She would still, of course, run their military. They would have a military. It wouldn't be this resistance bullshit. And she would be an assassination target from First Order sympathizers. You would have, sort of like the Separatists in the prequel trilogy, you would have people who are sympathetic to Kylo Ren's iteration of the First Order, because they feel like their worlds are being shafted. They think, oh God, the New Republic is not doing much for us. We have gangsters, we have crime families that are taking over our territories, entire sectors, and there's nothing we can do about it because the Republic is too busy getting into fights with each other, squabbles over bullshit. So we need the First Order. We need someone who will actually come out there and put the fucking boot up their asses. And so they defect, and in turn, Leia basically has a target painted on her head because she is one who is totally against the First Order. And in kind of tense, twisty things, Kylo and Leia would actually meet, but he wouldn't try to kill her or anything. They would basically just argue over which idea of governing is the proper one. And Leia would keep trying to tell him, like, look, you need to come home. This is right. You are only going to make the same mistakes because they're inevitable. Because tyranny is inevitable when you have a one-man government. And Kylo doesn't accept that. But he ends up having to because, yeah, he has to resort to tyranny when shit doesn't go his way all the time. But getting back to main plot, Finn is a Force sensitive. Rey is a Skywalker. Rey has natural talents. Finn does not. Finn kind of resents this. He doesn't like the fact that he has to basically work to become a Jedi, whereas it just comes naturally to Rey. So they train under Luke, and over time, Finn just he's sort of having trouble, like, just with his own personal anger. It doesn't really lead him to the dark side, but it gets him kind of close there. Once it's revealed that Rey is actually Kylo Ren's brother, he wants to recruit her to his side. He's like, look, my parents were wrong. My uncle was wrong. This is what we need to do. And you are also of noble blood. We are nobles. We are meant to rule the galaxy. I need you at my side. I need my family at my side. And Rey would end up turning. Rey, who had basically been alone, who did not know her place, who was like a secret princess, she rejects everything that she had been taught because she believes that she had basically been taught a lie. Like, she comes to believe this, nobility bit about herself, that she is better. That sort of thing. And so she turns to the dark side and she joins Kylo Ren. So that was set up in episode 9, where Finn basically has to go and turn Rey back to the light. And the stakes would be ridiculously high because, okay, this is someone who is not particularly adept with the Force, who is having to work his ass off to get to where he is not of this chosen blood or particularly strong blood, going up against probably the two most powerful Force sensitives outside of Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa in the galaxy. He's going up against these ridiculously powerful people, and it's more or less a suicide mission. But he has to learn, like, yeah, this is what I have to do because it's the right thing to do. Because this is what being a good Jedi is about. It's about not fucking giving up. So, yeah, my idea of the sequel trilogy would be a massive middle finger to The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson's fucking nonsense. But I want character motivations to work out. I want the universe to act like it's supposed to, instead of Deus Ex Machina bullshit. Instead of, well, he changed over 30 years. No, fuck that. He was an adult, and you don't really change a whole hell of a lot, especially with such deeply held convictions after you're already a fucking adult.
Especially after you went through this whole thing with your own fucking father.
Yeah, exactly. Like in this Luke's motivation to find all this shit is specifically to turn Kylo back. It's not to defeat him or anything. It's to turn him back, to show him that he is wrong and redeem him, because he's like, no one is beyond redemption. The person who was halfway responsible for destroying the Jedi Order was still redeemed in the end. It is not impossible for Kylo. Like, that is his motivation right there. Because that sounds like Luke fucking Skywalker. That sounds like the hopeful, optimistic Luke Skywalker that we all know and love.
Yes.
So, yes, that would be my sequel trilogy. And yeah, I go into more detail in the fucking Twitter thread. Just find it. I didn't tag it or anything, but you'll know it. You'll know it.
Yes. I think, though, that we can agree on one thing to close this out. Reylo is cancer.
Yeah. Terminal.
All right, folks. We do appreciate you stopping in and watching. Longer episode than usual, but we had a lot of questions. Only thing that I would just I would ask next time. I know that oftentimes we discuss things that people are very passionate about. Just please do ask questions in good faith. And if you ask a question in good faith, we will definitely be giving you a good faith answer. So I like to think that that's a big part of our brand, aside from just answering just about every question that's thrown our way, which a lot of content creators just don't do. So, yeah. But either way, we will be returning this weekend, barring any sort of health issues, or comets, or meteorites and stuff like that, or murderers and all that other fun stuff. So please stay tuned. This Saturday, usually, we start around 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. So, until then, though, my name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin. Wish me luck.
We'll see you guys this weekend. Days Vault.
Days Vault.